Hi everybody, today's live show is on midlife mindset and motivation. So you are going to get a lot of information in this lecture. I'll let you guys start coming on. And if you are not in midlife, this still pertains to you, because out of all of the minorities on the planet, it is the one category, the oldest age, that we are all eventually, with a little luck, going to be a part of. The goal is to be wrinkly old women at one point, right? That's the goal of aging. So even if you're not in midlife, I invite you to stay on to this lecture, because it is going to change the way that you perceive aging, and it will help you make some changes where you know you're effective. Hi for Craft's sake. Hi, Christine. Hi for those of you who are joining me. Okay, we're going to get right into it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Darnell Cox. I'm a 56-year-old gerontologist and healthy aging specialist. That's what I do. But I'm telling you right now, oh, it's nice to see you too, Christine. There is a lot of psychology behind aging. I have a graduate degree in psychology, but I also have a graduate degree in gerontology, which not only talks about the physical thing that happens with us as aging, physiologically, but also the psychological thing around aging and the social aspect of aging. So today we're going to talk about mindset and motivation. Are you guys ready? And I'm going to tell you the why first. Why is mindset so important? Because mindset will help you live longer. I know it's crazy, but bear with me. I've got a couple of scientific studies to back this up. But I want to start with an example, because sometimes I feel like if we can connect the dots between the why and the how, it's going to make it so much more better and so much more inviting for us to implement those lifestyle hacks that make a difference. Hi, 67-year-old from Germany. Hello. Okay, so I want to start with an example. These are for the people that are or might be a little bit skeptical on how does mindset make you live longer. And I'm going to show you those studies in a second. But I want you to think about, like, have you ever had like a good hair day? Like a really good hair day, or a really good skin day, or you get on your favorite jeans and you're like, well, those just zipped up a little bit easier. What that does to your brain, to your mind, is, without getting too scientific, is just think about that for a second. If we are having a great hair day, I don't know about you, but I want to get out in the world, right? I want to meet up girlfriends for lunch. I want to get out there. I want to run into like every ex-boyfriend I ever had in my life, right? When you're having a good hair day, or your skinny jeans just slip on a little bit easier, it changes what you do with the day. So think about that for a second. Our mindset, what we feel about ourselves, whether it's just on the outside or not, changes what you do with that day. The same is true for the opposite. If you are, like, you've got a big zip between your eyebrows, or you're like feeling bloated or puffy, you're way more likely to sit your ass down on the couch with a bag of Doritos and binge watch something on Netflix. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Isn't that true? Don't you find that to be true? When you are feeling good about your outsides, when you're feeling good, it changes what you do with that day. You're far more likely to go to the gym. You're far more likely, oh no, I got to stop this right now. Somebody said, is 67 years old too late to start this? I'm going to tell you right now, there are lifestyle hacks that you can start right now. If I do nothing more as a health coach, this is the big lesson. And this is specifically for you, 67-year-old Madam XYZ. This is specifically for you. There are specific things that you can do right now, healthy lifestyle hacks, that change the way you will age. Even at 67, even at 68, even at 70, even at 80, it will change the way that you age. And of course, the earlier you start, the better, but you are never too old to start living young. You are never too young to start thinking about growing old, but you're never too old to start living young. So that is like the big thing. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. It just is about what are you going to do with it. But let's get back to that mindset, because you can't do anything without the right mindset. There's a couple of different studies here. And again, I equated that good hair day or slipping into those skinny jeans. And we know if we can just think about it that way, when you get back from the hairdresser, your roots were just done or your hair is done, you are far more likely to want to get out there in the world, to eat more healthy, to exercise more, to socialize more than if you're not feeling great about yourself, right? You've got a bad hair day or you got that zit, you're more likely to plop your ass down on the couch with a quart of ice cream and watch something on TV. It changes what you do with the day. So think about that in terms of a good hair day, because everybody has gone through that. And now we're going to talk about aging and how that mindset of aging affects what you do with that day. So for my XYZ friend out there, when you ask the question, is it too late to start? That mindset that you have preconceived that it's too late to start, that's what we're going to completely rip up and throw away. And I'm going to show you how. But first, I want to talk about a couple of studies. These are just PowerPoints. I'm doing a 10-week healthy aging course that I'm getting ready for. But this is one of the studies from the Mayo Clinic. And the Mayo Clinic did this thing called the health benefits of positive thinking. So it has been explored that negative and positive self-talk, it affects your health. So it increases your lifespan, this is from the Mayo Clinic, lowers your rate of depression, lowers your level of distress and pain, greater resistance to illness, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health, reduced risk of death from cancer, reduced risk of death from respiratory conditions. It goes on and on and on about mindset, that positive mindset, and how it affects your health. Now think back when we were talking about good hair day. A good hair day, we already know, affects what we do with that day. A mindset about aging affects what we do with that day. So a positive mindset affects what we do with that day. So are people more likely, if they have a positive mindset about aging, more likely to take care of their bones and their brain and their heart, more likely to move, more likely to make healthy lifestyle choices, more likely when it comes to eating something, make healthy choices? Yeah, it is. If you understand that what you do has an influence over how you age, not only how long you're going to be on the planet, but how healthy you're going to be while you're doing it. And not only that, how you move, how much pain you're going to be in, how your body functions, what your skin looks like. All of that can be influenced, okay? Another study by Harvard, this is by Harvard School of Health, this is put out by Harvard School of Health, and this was a Harvard study for a 4-year period. They took 14,000 adults over the age of 50, and what they found is that a positive attitude about aging boosts your health. It helps with diabetes, stroke, reduces your chances of stroke, cancer, heart disease, better cognitive function, decreased insomnia, more active, decreased depression, and a better outlook on life. That's from Harvard, okay? So if we think about that, the way our mindset improves not only our quality of life, but the quantity of life and everything in there. Because, no, you cannot talk about a new subject. I can see you tomorrow if you want to get on a new subject, but we're talking about mindset and motivation right now. And if you think that you're not going to learn something from this, wait till I start telling you where these mindsets are getting into our brain. It's not just the marketing. It's not just big, people trying to sell us cellulite cream. There's a lot of different ways that we are bombarded with all of this. But I want you to still have in the back of your mind that whole thing about how we feel on the inside. I'm having a good hair day. That attitude about, I'm looking pretty good. How it's closely tied, to how we treat our bodies and the healthy lifestyle hacks that we incorporate. And then what that does to make us feel better, to make us function better, to make us look better, that then becomes this perpetuating thing of health. And that's what we want to do when I talk about changing your health trajectory. That's what I'm talking about. So how you feel, that mindset and attitude influences those actions. So when we're talking about these studies from Harvard and we're talking about the studies from the Mayo Clinic, when they say that it improves health, we want to think about it as that good hair day. How does that change what we do? Because I guarantee you they're not isolating mindset, right? This is very important information, and I'll tell you why. Going into old age is the goal of aging, right? It's the goal of aging. And if we already have a preconceived notion of what that's supposed to look like and feel like and function like, we are setting ourselves up for failure, right? So I want you to keep this connection of a good hair day and what you do with that day to get out in the world, to run into ex-boyfriends, right? To try to go to lunch with girlfriends. You're not going to sit your ass with a quart of ice cream on the couch if you're like, wow, looking pretty good today, right? The right mindset is mostly understanding. It's underrated. That's what you said, Christine. It's very underrated. Okay, so we talked about the Mayo Clinic, lower risk of heart disease, improved cardiovascular health, lower stress level, lower rates of depression, better overall physiological well-being, decrease in strokes. I mean, across the board, you name it, okay? But the conclusion is that yes, your mindset can make you live longer. And so where does it come from? Where does your mindset come from? And this is where I feel is the most important thing about this lecture. Because if we can learn where the mindset's coming from, and there's not a lot of positive reinforcement about aging out there, right? We're bombarded with all of the negative shit. But the positive stuff of how great it is to get older, we barely see any of that, right? So where this comes from, the mindset is super important. All the media we consume, right? It's greatly influenced by our environment. So how we are raised, how we perceive our grandparents when our grandparents were older, how our parents treated our grandparents when they were older, all the people that are surrounding you, religion, product marketing. And I want you guys to really think about this. In 1964, Vogue magazine published an article on cellulite. Cellulite was not spoken about as something that needed to be fixed until it was in vogue in 1964. Now it's something that needs to be treated, not just a normal part of female anatomy, which 98% of us have. But now it needs to be treated because the media thought, oh, let's talk about this topic, and then let's sell women millions of dollars of anti-cellulite merchandise and products and dreams and hopes and all of that stuff, right? So we get bombarded with all of this stuff. It's all these external factors that create this self-talk in our brain. So given our mindset, when we get new information that comes in, we have two different things that we do. It either solidifies an already existing mindset that we have, or we classify it as the exception to the rule. The exception for the rule, okay? That's not the norm, we tell ourselves. Yet in doing this, we're already limiting our own capabilities, which could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm going to go into example for this. 90-year-olds can run marathons. All you got to do is Google 90-year-olds and marathons, and guess what? You scroll and you scroll and you scroll. There are a lot of 90-year-olds who are running marathons. Dot Sowerby just set a new women's half marathon record at between the 90 and 94 category. Think about this. Marathons have categories for 90 and 94-year-olds because that's how many are running them. Okay? 92-year-old Harriet Thompson, 7 hours, 24 minutes, 36 seconds, is the oldest woman to ever finish a marathon at 92. And then it goes on, you guys, it goes on and on and on. Are we hearing about this stuff, or are we hearing that older people can't run, right? That diminishes with age. If we have this preconceived mindset that old people can't run, you can expect those limitations for yourself. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think you can't run a marathon at 90, you're not going to do it. You're not going to run a marathon at 90 if you think it's impossible. So redefining old age begins with that mindset of actually what we can do. So this is the power of can, my friends. I want you to think for a second. Something that you thought like, I never thought if I could do that. I want you to start with, I can run a marathon in my 90s. I can build muscle mass in midlife. I can begin a new career. I can get my hormones finally regulated. I can change my health trajectory. I can find a new passion that brings me excitement. I can start a new career in midlife. I went back to school at 51, right? And I'm 56 now. I went back to school for a second master's at 51. Don't, whoever bought the badge, thank you so much, it's so sweet. Don't think that you can't do something. Because when you think that you can't, there's no fucking way you're gonna do it. Oop. There's no way you're gonna do it if you think you can't do it. So the power of can. I can go back to school in my 50s. I can learn a whole new school set. I can lose weight during menopause. I can reshape my body in midlife. I can find a purpose in midlife. I can change that health trajectory and be more healthy this year than I was even 5 years ago. My skin can look better than it did last year. You can, you can, you can, you can. Get that in your brain. Change your mindset and the behavior will follow, but it starts with what are you actually even capable of doing? And for most people, we put up that wall of I can't do that, that's too hard. Or the person who is doing that, the 90-year-olds, they're the exception to the rule. In doing that, it makes you not exceptional. And I disagree. I think anybody can be exceptional. And the more people that are exceptional and the more that you realize how many people are doing it, it's not really an exception to the norm. It's what these people are choosing to do. Okay? So change your mindset and the behavior will follow. It is done every single day. So why not you? Have you guys seen the Instagram fitness person, Train with Joan, who's 75 years old? Joan started training at 70 and she was 60 pounds overweight. So for my friend here, the XYZ, who was 67, I believe, I want you to look at Train with Joan on Instagram. She's 75. She started 5 years ago and she was 60 pounds overweight. You can lose weight at any time. You can implement healthy lifestyle hacks that will not only keep you living longer on the planet, but keep you living the way that you want to. In other words, moving, intellectually engaged, socially engaged, active, motivated, happy, right up until the end, free of age-related diseases. But it is possible. Not only is it possible, it is probable if you make the changes. But to sit back and say, I'm in midlife and I can't do something, that, my friends, is where you start that downward health trajectory, right? We have a lot more control over our health than we think. And it starts with, what are you capable of doing? Don't start with, I can't do that, okay? Martha Stewart is 82 years old. She's working on her 100th book. She didn't start until she was in her 50s. Vera Wang started her company, the wedding dress designer, at the age of 40. She didn't even design her own wedding dress. Somebody else did. Barefoot Contessa, Ina Garten, published at 51. She didn't write books before then. She was published at 51. There's a lot of marathon runners. There's a marathon runner, Faju Singh, a marathon record holder, 5 hours, 40 minutes at 92 years old. 5 hours, 40 minutes at 92 years old. I ran the marathon, the LA Marathon, when I was 45 in 5 hours and 23 minutes at 45. 92 years old, 5 hours and 40 minutes. He did not walk it. I can tell you right now, he didn't walk it. He didn't start running. Here's the tick. Here's the thing that's like, wow, my XYZ friend who's 67. He started running at 90. He started running at 90, and at 92, he's a marathon record holder at 5 hours, 40 minutes. Like I said, it is done every single day. Don't say you can't. Why do most of us think we can't? It's this negative stereotyping we are bombarded with every day. Jokes, the media depiction, the Hallmark cards. I'm going to read you guys a story. Bear with me. It's entertaining. I want to read you guys a story. This was sent to me in a group text. I don't know if age is only a mindset. Age is only a mindset, that is true, but at any age, a positive mindset is going to help you live better, longer, free of age-related diseases. Mayo Clinic, Harvard. Those are scientific studies. So not only is age just a mindset, but a positive mindset. If we can change the way that you guys think, if we can change the way we think, and we can change the way we receive different messages from the exterior world, we can combat that negative, can you guys not hear me? We can combat that negative stereotyping. Okay, so I want to read you this joke. Here's the story. So this was sent to me by my main group of girlfriends, my Christmas girlfriends. We get together every year, at least once a year, and exchange Christmas gifts and all that. So this was sent in a group text to me. I'm going to read it to you guys, so hold on, okay? A group of old friends discussed where they should meet for lunch for a reunion. They all agreed. They were all about the age of 40, okay? I'm going to do it from here. A group of 40-year-old, I'm going to start again because this was mistyped. A group of 40-year-old girlfriends discussed where they should meet for dinner. They agreed upon the Seaview restaurant because the waiters were all good-looking and they had toned, athletic bodies. That's in your 40s, okay? Looking at the waiters. 10 years later, in their 50s, now I'm 56, I'm going to make sure that the sound is all good for everybody. Can you guys, everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and I'll keep going. So I'll start again. A group of 40-year-old girlfriends discussed where they should meet for dinner. They agreed upon the Seaview restaurant because the waiters were good-looking and they had toned, athletic bodies. 10 years later, at the age of 50, the group once again discussed where should they meet for dinner. They agreed upon the Seaview restaurant because the food was delicious and the wine selection was excellent. 10 years later, at the age of 60, thanks for the thumbs up, you guys, at the age of 60, so think about this, the group once again discussed where they should meet for dinner. They agreed upon the Seaview restaurant because it wasn't noisy and they could easily park and the restaurant had a beautiful view of the sea. 10 years later, at the age of 70, the group once again discussed where should they meet for dinner. They agreed upon the Seaview restaurant because it had a lift and was also wheelchair accessible. 10 years later, at the age of 80, same group of women once again discussed where they should meet for dinner. Finally, it was agreed that they should meet at the Seaview restaurant because they had never been there before. This was a joke that was sent to me by my same-aged group of girlfriends. Ha, 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 everybody said. Ha, 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 ha. I was the only one. I didn't say anything to my friends, but I was the only one that was like, not good. Most of you probably laughed at that, right? At 60 years old, you want to meet there because it's not noisy. That's when hearing normally starts going. It's not noisy, beautiful view. At 70, it was wheelchair accessible and had a lift. And at 10 years later, at 80, they forgot they were even at that restaurant before. A lot of you probably laughed at that, and that's okay. But I want to break this down when it comes to mindsets because we are bombarded with this shit and other types of this shit all the time. Right, Christine? Think about that for a second. This joke feeds into the negative stereotyping that influences our mindset and our attitudes about growing old. Who says that at 70, you're gonna need a wheelchair lift? Who says that at 80, you're gonna forget everything that you know? Somebody said, my dad is forgetting everything at 80. Baby Rose, I'm gonna talk to you about this, because if you have a preconceived notion that you are going to lose your memory during old age, any time that you've got little indications that your memory is slipping, you chalk it off to, oh, this is just old age. This is what's expected. Instead of, what the fuck is going on with my brain? I need to get into the doctor. There's got to be something for me to do. But if we accept this negative stereotyping, the negative mindset, if we accept that, we are far less likely to reach out for help that could have staved off age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia. I want you to think about that for a second. Preconceived notions surrounding age may have once been rooted. It also is a prejudice about, it's also, the stereotyping is also because we have a fear of death and dying. Everybody does. And so to put that, to separate that category, that's one way that we're prejudiced against old age. We know, oh my God, are we going to be in that category? I'm not in that category yet. Let me separate that. That's for the people that forget all their memory. Yeah. For somebody said they never visited the restaurant. Yeah. They never, at 80, you never visited the restaurant. Listen, it may have once been rooted in a tiny bit of truth, but things are exaggerated. We've got this prejudice against death and dying. We don't want to, think that we're in that category, but advances in modern medicine, information, access to information, even social media. Think about how much we're learning in social media, even you being here, me having this platform as a health coach to be able to coach this. We're getting so much more information that hopefully is going to combat some of these negative stereotypes. But we've got all this information coming in. However, the negative stigma is still perpetuated by society. And that again is like that little bit of fear around death and dying, but also this is gonna be the shocker. So stay with me, you guys. You will not believe who contributes the most to the negative stereotyping about old age and health, and that is doctors. I learned this, the first time that this came across my brain was when I was at USC. And when they first said that, I was like, wait a second, what? Does that make sense? And when you think about it, it makes sense. Because who goes to doctors the most? At any age. When was the last time you've been to the doctor? Now, some of us are really good. Some of us go in for a yearly physical. Some of us get our blood work done every 3 to 6 months. Some of us, but not most of us go to the doctor and seek out a doctor's help when we are sick, when we are not feeling well, right? Especially in old age. So the ones out there running the marathons are not the ones at the doctor's office saying, I'm having heart palpitations, or I need to lose weight, my joints hurt, my bones hurt. These are not the ones there. The ones that are at the doctor's are the ones that are sick, the ones that are ailing. So think about that for a second. It's the sick that seek out the doctors. So when doctors hear about a 90-year-old running a marathon, do you think that they put this in their brain as, oh, that's normal? Or do you think it goes to their brain as, that's an exception to the rule? This is the exception, not the norm, the exception. I won't expect that from any of my other clients, my other patients. She's the exception. Doctors see sick people all the time. So when they see somebody who goes in for a yearly physical, who's actually functioning and active and mobile, more healthy, eating better than their 50-year-old counterparts, they're not saying, oh, let me add this into my statistics in my office and try to see where does this fit in. They're an outlier, right? They're the exception. And this is categorized in our doctors' brains. And guess who is consulting on all the medical content on popular TV shows like Grey's Anatomy, The Good Doctor, Chicago Med? They have doctors sitting on this staff, on the writing staffs, on the advisory staffs, because most writers, there's not a lot of doctors that are writers that write TV shows. My husband is a TV and film writer. And so this is why I know that. We have a friend who's actually a medical doctor who sat on Grey's Anatomy for 10 plus years. And that's because the writers need to ask them questions. Well, if your doctor already has preconceived notions that this is not the norm, this is the exception, but the norm is that when people get older, they are ailing, their arthritis is worse, they gain weight, their hormones aren't fluctuated, their hair falls out, they have wrinkles. All of this stuff is preconceived notions in the doctor's brain in terms of the mindset. Their attitudes and their mindset are formed because that's what they are subjected to all the time with their patients. Well, now we have doctors that are on the board that are helping the writers and helping TV and movies to depict older people. And the vision is skewed. The information is skewed. Right? They're oftentimes doctors are some of the worst people to have negative stereotyping and prejudice. And that's not doctors' fault. That's just who they're seeing. That's who they're seeing. Okay? Even things like, retirement funds and all those mortgages and life insurance. When an old person is in there, there's been a doctor who has given them an idea of what that's supposed to look like. And this negative stereotyping, as we've already seen from the Mayo Clinic study, from the Harvard Health study, what we've already seen is that mindset can really, really wreak havoc on your health. If you believe that forgetting, and I want you to think about this now, right? If you believe that forgetting your car keys is a normal part of aging, you are far less likely to bring this up to your doctor. Or you might bring it up to your doctor in a laughing way. How are you doing? How are you doing, Mr.? Oh, I'm fine, but I'm just, I leave my car keys all over the place. But other than that, I'm doing great. No. It's not normal there's no norm in aging, okay? But it's not normal to start forgetting your car keys. It could be dehydration. It could be the onset of our Alzheimer's and dementia that we're sweeping under the rug because we think it's normal, right? It's going to stop you from getting treatment that otherwise you would want to seek. Does that make sense, everybody? If we accept cognitive decline as a normal part of aging, we're far less likely to seek help, to be proactive in our health, and to make the lifestyle changes necessary to prevent what we may think is inevitable. I want to repeat that, okay? If we accept cognitive decline as a normal part of aging, we are far less likely to seek help. We're far less likely to be proactive with our health, and to make those lifestyle changes necessary to prevent what we may already think is inevitable or normal. And here's the thing, there are drugs and treatments, foods, even supplements. There's all different kinds of ways that they now have to stave off Alzheimer's and dementia, to help prevent and even reverse the disease. You may have the gene for Alzheimer's. You may be predisposed to have dementia. You might have a higher, there might be like a higher rate in your family, but it's not inevitable. We can influence our genes. It's called the phenotype. You could have the gene for Alzheimer's and dementia, and then the way you've done your lifestyle with, making sure that you're eating properly, making sure that you're sleeping, making sure that you're hydrated. All of these affect your cognitive function. Hormone balance affects your cognitive function. What you're putting in your body affects your cognitive function. A lot of older people, and this is just how the human body works, when you get to a certain age, the connection between you being thirsty, the signal is not as strong. And so oftentimes, even at our age, anybody on here, you will oftentimes mistake thirst for hunger. You think that you're hungry, but you're actually dehydrated. And so when we're dehydrated and our body's not working right, we crave those sugars and sweet stuff and starchy carbs and all of that. There's a disconnect sometimes between our thirst and our hunger. That becomes even more drastic when you get older. So there is a big link, a big correlation between dehydration and cognitive function. But if you think that cognitive decline is a normal thing, what makes you think that you're going to go and say like, wait a second, am I hydrated enough? Is my brain not working enough because it's floating in all of this fluid and the fluid is diminished? If you look at Alzheimer's and dementia and you correlate that with dehydration with older people, it is a very strong it's a very strong correlation. Very strong correlation. Now you can't, I'm not going to answer stuff about microneedling today, but I'll be here tomorrow at 12 and we can talk about any questions that you have on this. If I don't get to them today, just know I'll be here tomorrow at 12 and I'll probably be doing some microneedling or something. And you can ask me questions about today's lecture. You can also ask me questions about skincare or whatever tomorrow, okay? But I want you guys to think about that. If there are treatments that improve cognitive functioning, whether it's a variety of different mushrooms that are added to your diet, whether it's making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you're continually learning new things, all of these things can help. And not only that, if you do find out, I'm so glad I'm inspiring you. That's, if I can inspire one person to make a change today, to think about things in a different way, to be able to, like, when this stuff comes into our brain, to understand the negative stereotypes and what this actually does to our health and how we are predisposing ourselves not only to be prejudiced against our own selves, but to accept the limitations that somebody else is saying. This is all we can do. Fuck that. I don't believe that at all. I think we're capable of amazing things if we believe we are capable of amazing things. And those amazing things might be living to be 110, right? Living to be 110 and feeling and functioning and looking like you're 70. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Okay. There's lots of drugs out there too for my 67-year-old XYZ friend for Alzheimer's and dementia. If your dad is forgetting things at 80, don't just say like, oh, he's forgetting everything at 80. Go get a diagnosis. Go get the brain scan. Go see what his hydration is. Go see if there's anything that you can add. There's lots of different stuff now, but if we think that that's just inevitable, that's what is expected of us, that is the norm, we are far less likely to go get the help when we get those first signs. And I'm telling you guys, you can help stave off of all of that stuff. You can prevent that kind of stuff because even though our genes say one thing, it doesn't mean that that's inevitable. The way that those genes are expressed has a lot to do with healthy lifestyle habits, okay? A lot. And I'm certainly, listen, there's no standard of aging. So if when you see things like this, I'm going to show you a couple of other things. Look at this. This was a Hallmark card. 60 years old and still smoking hot. Do you know a 60-year-old that looks like this? I don't. I'm 56. This is me in 4 years. Right? This is the shit that we're bombarded with. Here's another one. I don't want to do the glasses one. Let's do this. What do older women have between their breasts that younger women don't? Their belly buttons. Who said that when you're however old this person is supposed to be, that your boobs are going to be down to your belly buttons? You think you can't trick your skin into behaving younger? You can trick your heart into behaving younger. You can increase muscle mass. You can increase bone density. This is the shit I talk about on Sundays, right? You can increase the elasticity and collagen in your skin, just like we can increase our heart rate variability. We can increase like a lot of different things. We can increase sleep optimization, which also helps with brain health. It's all connected, you guys. Look at this. Crap. Where the heck was I going? This is a greeting card. It's negative stereotyping that's just perpetuated over and over again. Back and body hurts. Getting old sucks. This was a greeting card. All of these things These all go into our brains and help create a mindset that this is inevitable. And it's not. There's a crazy old ghost in my mirror that keeps blocking my reflection. I mean, what is this saying? This is saying that when you get to be old age, you don't even recognize yourself. If you don't recognize yourself in old age, you've had your head buried in the sand. It's not what me and my friends do. We're out there doing our stuff. We're working out. We're meditating. We're doing all the stuff. Look at this. Happy birthday. Don't let old age get you down. It's too hard to get back up. What the fuck? I'm sorry, but there are plenty of people. If you think that when you get older, it's going to be difficult for you to get back up, it's probably going to be difficult for you to get back up. You're probably not going to do those kind of things like the mobility training that I talk about, right? Being flexible. You're probably not going to be able to, you're probably in that mindset of like, well, that's not possible. You know what? I just realized I could do the splits the other day. I hadn't tried it in a long time, but I'm at the gym all the time. I'm flexible. I'm working on joint mobility to prevent injury, right? I'm working on flexibility because we lose muscle mass and flexibility as we get older. It's not inevitable. There's plenty of people like the Train with Joan who have more muscle mass at 75 than she did at 70. All of this stuff is you can make those lifestyle changes. I'm not even going to get into this, like Velcro shoes, can't touch the toes. It's like one of those, those old lady dolls. This was a card. Super comfy all-day jammies. I mean, I'm in all-day sweats, but that's another story. But this is the negative kind of stereotyping that gets ingrained. Now, this last one I want to show you because this is a handmade card. Baby Rose just questioned, I'm not really sure what that's about, but we're talking about midlife mindset and motivation and how changing your mindset literally changes your health, okay? This was a handmade card. And so the reason why I'm showing you guys this is because they have this mindset that is now ingrained and they've internalized it. And this says, turning 60 is nothing nothing to snicker about. Your mind will play tricks on you. Your joints will begin to crunch. You will have butterfingers. I don't know what that one is. You'll be pooping pills like Tic Tacs. Oh, you'll be popping pills like Tic Tacs. You will take numerous breaks to the bathroom. You will have zero energy. So let's take 5 and have mounds of fun. You deserve some extra attention on your birthday. This was handmade by somebody. So think about that. They have internalized those negative stereotypes. Even the phrase anti-aging, I want you to think about that. It has a negative connotation, right? So I try to use the term healthy aging. Anti-aging is still used a lot in skincare, but I try to talk about the health of the skin, and we try to talk about healthy aging because anti-aging itself has a negative connotation. We're not trying to stop aging, everybody, right? We're not trying to stop aging. We want to feel and function, and if I'm going to be honest, look the best we can during the whole aging process and live longer and healthier. But aging is inevitable. The goal of aging is to be a wrinkly old woman sometime. Me, hopefully with a little fewer wrinkles, but that's because the health of my skin is what I work on daily. So just like the health of my heart, the health of my bones, the health of my brain, the health of all of it, you work on it because it's not inevitable that you're going to go downhill on a slippery slope. That's not inevitable. Okay, so even that phrase anti-aging, the anti-aging beauty industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Do you think they're making us feel good about aging? No. Like I said in Vogue in 1960, it was either 1968 or 1964 when they first published that article on cellulite. It made us think, oh, well, here's something else we have to treat. Here's something else we'll buy millions of dollars of anti-cellulite products for. It's not just a normal part of the anatomy of a woman. It's the marketing of things that helps also solidify these negative stereotypes, right? But there are so many things that are great about getting older, and very few people are talking about them. And this comes from Columbia University in a study in 2022. Older people are often more happy as they age. It's like a smiley face. Younger people, so if you're looking at age on a continuum, if you're looking at age, this is age, and this is happy, right? If you're looking at age on a continuum, you're happiest when you're younger. In your 30s and 40s, that's when you're usually raising kids, trying to solidify what you're doing for a living. Your happiness scale goes way down, and when you hit 65 plus, your happiness goes up. Older people, according to Columbia, are actually even happier than their 30 and 40-year-old counterparts. I don't know. I think that that's amazing. So not only are they happier, the Columbia University study also showed they have deeper, more meaningful relationships. Child rearing is in the rearview mirror. The self-care is more doable, right? So a lot of people, even though I say, we always have that thing of put your oxygen mask on first. As a mom, it's so counterintuitive. It really is. And I know because I'm a mom of 3, it's really counterintuitive. But in later life, I've got a lot of clients that are in their 60s now that are like, I'm finally going to take care of myself. I have the time to do it. My kids are out of the nest. So you have this extra time. And not only that, you're more empathetic. You have more gratitude. You have a greater sense of self and others. So there's so many things to get better with age. And the goal of aging, let's not forget, is to one day be a wrinkly old woman. That's the blessing. Because if we didn't reach old age one day, then that means your life is too short. That's not great. We want the goal of aging is to actually get to that age, right? We want to do it in the healthiest way. We want to make sure that we don't have a decline in our life, in our function, in what's happening, in our pain. So that's where all the lifestyle hacks come in that I coach on this whole channel. I don't know about you, but I want to live to be 110. I used to say I want to live to be 100. And now I'm like, no, I think I can be 100. I think I want to live to be 110. But I want to feel. I want my body to function. And if I'm going to be honest, I want to look the best I can while doing it. Right? A lot of that is in our control. A lot of that's in our control. And it all begins with that mindset and that self-talk, right? That either perpetuates those negative stereotypes, like, ah, ha, 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 how funny is that? Ah, ha, ha. It's perpetuating those negative stereotypes. This is what we're supposed to look like at 60, This is what we're supposed to look like with our boobs between our knees at 60. Our back and our hips, everything's supposed to be hurting in old age. We don't even recognize ourselves. Our bones are crunchy, right? If you fall, it's hard to get up. It's just over and over and over again. Yet, when you really dive a little deeper, there's not so many exceptions to the rules as there are. Open your eyes, people, and let's try to combat some of that negative self-talk that we can't do something. Because we can. We already talked about, Martha Stewart's on her 100th book and didn't even start until she was in her 50s. You can. You absolutely can. Okay. So I want to get into just a few different things. I want to just set this up because when you keep these negative mindsets and you've got this it's just normal for me to lose my memory when I get older. It's just normal. It's normal for this to happen. It's normal for that. It's normal for pain and aches and not be able to move and be isolated and lonely and be in my pajamas all day. If that's what your normal thing is, when you get to be that age, you're setting yourself up to be prejudiced against yourself and limit yourself. For those people that make fun of older people, one day you're going to be there with a little luck, right? With a little luck, we're all going to be there. But if you have this negative thought about what that means, what that feels like, what that looks like, what you're capable of, how happy you're going to be, if you've got this negative thought, when you get to that age, you are going to be more likely for all of that shit to come true. Start combating it now, right? We can be prejudiced towards ourselves and our old age. We absolutely can. It comes back to bite us in the ass when we think that these kind of stuff is funny and that this kind of stuff, that at 80 we're going to forget everything and at 70 we're going to need a wheelchair. If we believe all of this stuff, it comes back to bite us in the ass when we get to be that age. And things are starting to slowly change. We have more TV and radio presenters that are older. Social media is shining a light on older generation. There's a pro-aging movement. We're redefining midlife, thank God, because midlife doesn't look the same as it did during remember the Golden Girls? Does anybody remember that show? Anybody like old enough to remember the Golden Girls when it was on? Those women today, if they were cast today, it would be like Christy Brinkley and Cindy Crawford. These would be the people that would be these little old women with gray hair in these, moo-moos. Doesn't look like that. Old age doesn't look like that, right? There's multiple different ways. Yeah. Imagine that, for craft's sake, if the Golden Girls were cast today. It's there, it doesn't even come close to looking the same. You cannot put enough makeup or gray hair on Halle Berry to make her look like she's 80. And yet that was the age group. It was like 45s to 55s. That was the age group where those women were cast. It's just, aging is different. Aging looks different. Okay. And I talk about this, aging gracefully. What does it mean to age gracefully? It needs to be redefined in the 21st century, because aging gracefully to me doesn't mean just like, let everything just fall where it's going to go. Let me just turn on the TV and kick back in my rocker. That's not aging gracefully. That's putting your head in the sand and not addressing things to keep your body working its best. That's not respecting your body. That's not respecting this one life that you have here. Aging gracefully does not mean just not doing anything. I think I'm aging as gracefully as a freaking New York ballerina, because and the reason is because it's strategic. It's purposeful. It's really, in a way, kind of honoring the one body that you have, right? I'm gonna make sure that I'm scrolled up to the top. Okay, yeah. It was like crickets out there. I'm like, did I lose everybody? Is everybody still there? Okay. And you don't have to wait for the media to get their shit together, right? It starts with you. It starts with that I can. It starts with you realizing that these aren't the exceptions. There's nobody that says you can't lose weight in midlife. If you are one of those people, after we've gotten this far, if you are one of those people that you think like, I still think that I can't do that. I can't run a marathon. I can't, I can't lose this belly fat. I want you just to add a 3-letter word at the end of that, and that is yet. You might not be there right now. You might not be there yet. So if you said, like, I can't run a marathon yet, because some of these people started at 90. You are never too old to start. You can change your health. You can change the way that you look. You can change the way that you feel. You can change the way that your body functions. It starts with your mindset, right? And so it doesn't really matter where you are, because I want you to think about if you're on this show and you want to lose 5 pounds. You haven't lost your 5 pounds yet. I can't lose 5 pounds. Yes, you can. People do it all the time. You might not have the right information. You might not have the right health coach, but yes, you can. You can't use it. You cannot lose it yet. Right? That's by Carol Dweck. She did a TED talk on yet. But you cannot use it yet. But you're never too old. You're never too overweight. You're never too in such bad health that there aren't lifestyle hacks that you can do right now that change. And so I want to talk to you about the power of I will. Because I kid you not, This is where you, listen, most of my followers here, most of you on here are women. Thank God. And for those men that follow me that are on here, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of women, which is a good sign. It's a good sign because there are some great guys out there that are really wanting some health advice, and I've had a lot of clients that are guys, and then there's like guys like, what are you doing here? Why are you on this channel? You're not even asking the right questions. But this is the power of I will, okay? And it took me a while for me to get to this point, but I just stopped breaking promises to myself. I stopped breaking promise to myself. And it kind of started when I gave up alcohol, to be honest with you, because I was one of those people that was like, I really loved my cocktails. Giving up alcohol was the best health thing I've ever done in my life. And if you think that everything's not connected, give up alcohol and see what happens to your weight. Give up alcohol and see what happens to your skin. Everything's connected. Our mind is also connected with what we do with our day and how if we incorporate these healthy lifestyle things that we know are good for us, or we plop our ass down on the couch, binge watching something on Netflix with a bag of Oreos, right? It changes what you do with the day. So I want to talk about the power of I will. You got to keep those promises to yourself, right? If you tell yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, and this has to do with all those smart goal setting, right? So don't do something like, I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to run 26 miles tomorrow, and you've never ran before in your life. No, I mean smart goals. And I've done like a whole show on goal setting before, so I'm not going to really get in that, but you guys can Google smart goal setting, right? Smart goal setting. Yeah, that's what it is. And it has that acronym, SMART, the special, the specified, the measurable, like all the things that it equals out to. So when you are saying something like, I'm going to work out tomorrow, and you break that promise to yourself over and over and over again, you would not put up with that with your girlfriend. If you had a girlfriend, your best girlfriend, constantly let you down, you would not be friends with them anymore. And yet we constantly let ourselves down when we make these promises to ourselves and we don't keep them. If you say you're going to go to the gym, unless a catastrophe happens, which is why I always do everything first thing in the morning. If you guys missed that, how to incorporate all the healthy aging hacks in less than 30 minutes a day, and it starts in the morning. If you missed that live show that I did, make sure you check that out. That's in my story highlights under live shows. So the links to all those live shows. But I did a live show on getting all the healthy aging hacks in the morning, right? Because you're far less likely to have those roadblocks that happen throughout the day that kind of make you detour from the gym or detour from what you were supposed to be doing. So I get a lot of stuff done early in the morning. So because I don't want to break the promises to myself, right? If you tell yourself, I'm going to eat healthy today, what does that look like? You could say, I'm going to eat every day, like Darnell does, as many vegetables as I can for lunch. That's my new thing. I'm going to eat as many vegetables as I can for lunch. I'm not going to worry about my dinner, but for lunch, I'm going to eat as many vegetables as I possibly can consume. Then when it comes to that next day, do it. Don't break that promise again and break that promise again and break that promise again. Set yourself up. If you say you're going to go to the gym the next morning, unless there's a miracle, the house burns down, something happens, unless something tragic happens, you should have your exercise clothes laid out. You should know what you're going to be doing. What class are you taking? Or what free thing are you doing online on YouTube? Have all that stuff pulled up so that you stop breaking these promises to yourself. Don't break your word to yourself. You're going to learn not to trust yourself, right? We wouldn't let a friend make these promises to us and then continually break their word to us. But we do that to ourselves all the time. Don't let yourself down. Learn to trust yourself. You say you're going to do something, then do it. Okay? Then do it. And there's a lot of other things that I wanted to talk about, but we're running a little bit out of time. I'm just going to get quickly to some other tools. Okay? So I like that power of yet. If you don't think you can do something, You know, a lot of it has to do with what are you even capable of? So like you can run a marathon, you can lose weight in midlife, you can start a new career, you can go back to school in your 50s and start a whole new career. You guys, I did that. That's what I did. You can too, if that's what you want to do, right? So what are you capable of? Stop looking at what we're supposed to feel like, what our brain is supposed to do, because all of that's bullshit. It's all the negative stuff that's over exaggerated, biased by doctors. And listen, I'm nothing against doctors. We need our doctors, right? There's critical things that we need our doctors for. We have to trust our doctors. But I want you to understand that they're seeing a lot of sick people. And if they're seeing a lot of sick 70 or 80-year-olds, that's their norm. Their norm is not the standard population, the bigger population. Does that make sense, everybody? So add that yet. I can't lose weight yet. You don't have the right health coach. I can't, whatever it is. I can't go back to school at the age of 50 yet. You got to get rid of that, okay? So I want you to think about one of the ways that I, as a gerontologist, I think about death all the time. I know it's kind of morbid, but I do think about death. And the reason why I think about death is because if you think about your end, right? If you could, just for a minute, everybody, if you're still on here, you're learning something. If you could just for a minute, close your eyes, and I want you to think about, this is going to sound morbid, I know, stay with me. I want you to think about your end, your last month, right? Let's pretend like that's going to be when you're 100. Let's think about what that last month would look like. The last 6 months would look like. What do you want out of that? What do you want out of that, right? What do you want? Do you want to be pain-free? Do you want to still be possibly running a marathon? Do you want to be working on a new concept for a book? Do you want to have a large family that's surrounding you? How are those relationships? Do you want to be like having just gone to the gym a few mornings before, having had just done yoga, having all your cognitive ability? What does that look like to you? And if you start with that end in mind, then you're more likely to achieve that. I want to. What do you want people to say about you? What do you want people to get up and say speeches about? She never got off the couch for the last 6 months. She really liked her Oreo cookies. What do you want people to say about you? How do you want that last month? Because healthy aging looks like this. I'm going to show you what people would like us to believe. This is age. And this is health. I'm going to show you what people would like. Sorry, you can see through this, but this is what people would like for us to think, right? That there's this slow decline, especially at the end, right? This is what is stereotypical. This is healthy aging. This is my goal. Let's see if I can do this. This is my goal and the goal of people I teach. So that this last month, these last couple weeks, maybe that day, who knows, you're still active and engaged. You're not in pain. You're not forgetting things. All of this is more possible than what they are telling us. Than what all of this shit, these Hallmark cards, it's more possible than what they are telling us. And if you believe that you can do it, that it is in more of our control than what we are been led to believe, you're more likely to be able to accomplish that. Because when your mind starts slipping, if your mind starts slipping, no, I want to have I want to be cognitively sharp until the day I die. If my mind starts slipping, I know this is not inevitable. And my mother has Alzheimer's, everybody. But if I know that if I'm cognitively slipping, I'm going to be more likely to get to a doctor and say, hey, what's going on here? What medication can I be on? What lifestyle changes do I need? What kind of supplements can I add in there? Because this is not okay. This is not acceptable. But when you're looking at the media, when you're looking at all of the ways that we get all of this stuff bombarded into our brain, that's what they're telling us. You know, our tits are going to be between our knees. We're not going to know where we're going. Crap, where did I go, right? Our bones are going to be crunchy. That's what, we're not going to recognize ourselves, right? Our body is going to hurt because getting old sucks. That's this trajectory. But I'm going to tell you what, if my friend is still on here, the 67-year-old, I forgot I think it was 187, XYZ, that was it, 67 XYZ. When you're getting here, right, you can, if you're here, let's say you're here, you're 67, you're out here. You think that you can go like this? Yes, you can, because you know why? I coach it every freaking day. Every day I see people that are like, midlife, what happened? Midlife, what happened? You change that health trajectory. This is not inevitable. This is what Hallmark cards and doctor shows and advertising tries to tell us is the norm, and it's unacceptable. I don't buy it. And if you buy it, you're more likely for that to happen. Okay? So it is that power of I will. It is that, like, don't break those promises to you, but it's also what is possible. Okay? And I'm going to leave you with that. There's a lot of other stuff I wanted to talk about. Gratitude journals help, bucket lists. I've had a 4-page bucket list since I was in my 20s. I cross off 2 things every year. I'm 56. I cross off 2 things from my bucket list every single year. I've been doing that since I was in my 20s. That's what keeps me excited. New challenges, new whatever. Running the marathon was on my bucket list when I ran it at 45, and I crossed that one off. So having these things, setting these goals, knowing that old age, that slippery slope is not inevitable. Old age is, but how you feel, how you function, and how you look, that's not inevitable. That's in your control. Okay, I'm going to get off of here for now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12. I'll take any questions then. I am going to post this to my main feed. Thank you guys for sticking with me, for being here. I need more goals. Yeah, look into those SMART goal setting, okay? Look into generativity, giving back, mentoring somebody is so good for healthy aging. Volunteering. Taking that wisdom, that, intelligence that we gain as we get older and sharing that with a younger generation. I feel like that's kind of what I do on my site as well. So there's a lot of different places that you can go on and find places to volunteer. Start a gratitude journal. Start reading some of these inspiring things like Daring Greatly by Brene Brown was hugely impactful for me getting on social media. Thanks, Debbie. I'm so glad you liked the show. Learning to Love Midlife by Chip Conley. That's another one. There's a lot of inspirational readings out there. Bucket list, I'm telling you, has been one of the main things that have helped me to really kind of go like, we all have the same time. We have the same 24 hours in the day. We might not have the same lifespan, but how can I squeeze every bit out of it that I can and still be inspired every year? And for me, that has been like this giant bucket list that I've had for my whole life. But, things like gratitude journals might be the thing that help you. It's all about learning to be honest, learn to recognize this shit, right? Learn to recognize this and don't buy into it, because you're far more capable than what anybody is giving us credit for. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here.